Yeah, it's
So
perfect.
with that being said, y'all, everybody, welcome to this session of our Sports Entertainment Influencers Network talk. Everybody, just for housekeeping rules, please keep your mic, please keep it closed if you don't mind. We may, we're probably, we're gonna, if we have questions at the end, they'll be in the chat. So thank you. I think Melanie's monitoring that chat for me. So thank you, or Riz, somebody's there, or Catherine. So the SEIN, let me kind of give you a back history about this. Sports entertainment and influencers niche is a very unique niche within the real estate industry. We realized, and Colin and I met in Puerto Rico like a few months ago, and we were just like, both of our backgrounds, and I'll kind of tell you mine real quick, but our backgrounds are both in the sports and entertainment, and then also in the nonprofit sector. And so we realized that there is a specific need and niche, especially after what's gone on in, with our country in the last year, and then specifically, the summer of social justice, and just, it's just the right thing to do, right? As a company, it's part of our DNA. And so my background, for most of you guys, you guys know me as Fee Gentry, the BEN girl and the 1EXP in your board of directors. But what you don't know is that I used to own a sports event marketing management company. And so for years, I did live events with athletes from the WNBA, NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball. I was on the board of directors for the efforts to bring the United States or bring the Olympics back to the United States. And so we're on an Olympic committee, worked with, really great people in that sector. And so we always had, and then we did fundraisers, and we did it through sports. And it was just a great opportunity to bring the world to people through sports and the world to us. And so I'm just transferring those skills now and doing it with real estate. And so, Colin, you want to tell your story real quick before we get going?
Yeah, thank you so much, Fee. And it's really an honor to be here with everyone. Thank you for attending, and Elena, and also with Terence and Ed. We have a very diverse group here, and I'm just going to squeeze in my intro really quick. Based in Culver City, in the heart of LA. Any LA peeps here? Please plug yourselves in the chat. And working a lot with sports entertainment influencer type clients since 2005. We're always giving back to the community. And I think that's what Fia and I want to talk about, is when you're working with athletes, executives, people who are in high caliber positions in entertainment, you want to make sure you're respectful of the industry, right? Because this industry can really give back like more than tenfold, right? So that's what I've learned in this industry, being in real estate and also representing these types of clients. So that's what Fia and I talked about, and I'm so glad it's all coming to fruition right now. Thank you so much, everyone. And Fia, I'm just going to roll into the mission of the scene, which is the SEIN, also known as Sports Entertainment Influencer Network, which is here really to embody the flavor that we're just talking about, creating those success stories, helping people and having fun, not just making money, but actually enjoying what we do, right? And giving back to the community. So these are such essential points. And that's really, I think, what everyone here stands for. So really appreciate that. And Fee, maybe we should just roll into, talking a little bit about who these people are in front of us, these amazing people that are on video right now.
Right. So I was going to introduce everybody like the old school way, but they have such great stories. And so I want the all-stars to introduce themselves, starting with Ed. Could you give us like just a 3 to 5 minute introduction of who you are? Because we can read stuff on paper about you, but want you to introduce yourself.
Sure, thanks, Fee. Excited to be here in this room and to be able to share some great ideas for everybody. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I left when I was 18, made my way out to California, and I've now been in the residential real estate space for 34 years. And about 20 years ago, I founded a company called Sports Star Relocation within my own residential space. And Sports Star Relocation was really born out of the initial, really out of my competitive spirit, right? I'm a very competitive person. And there was a player I helped come into LA, and it went really well, and got to meet the entire family. And for whatever reason in my mind, I thought, well, if I helped one player, then all players should have to go to me. Now, sort of a silly thought, but it's actually what I was thinking. But I also realized when you build a business, the business can't be about you and what you want. It's got to be about what your client or your consumer needs are and what do they want. And so I decided to really understand the needs of the athlete when they're relocating and the problems they go through, from these quick moves across country and taking kids out of schools and spouses that have to find new friends and every other issue that goes on with these moves and moving their cars and their personal belongings. So we built a full service concierge level service around the needs of the athlete when they're drafted or traded or become free agents. That's where SportsStar was born, and we've been building that business ever since, alongside of what I do here locally in LA on my residential side, where I do about $300 million a year in business right now in what is called Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, the South Bay of LA. Thank you.
Awesome. And Elena, man, I am more than anything, I'm like really excited for you to tell your story. You're new to the industry, but let's talk about like your introduction. I mean, we can go on your long resume here, but tell us, hook us up. Tell us what's going on in your world and how you came to be here and your whole story. I mean, give us 3 to 5 minutes. Yep.
So yeah, that could take some time. But basically I got here, I'm Elena Cardone, Grant Cardone's wife. We've built a massive empire. I wrote a book called Build an Empire, How to Have It All. We have 2.5 billion in assets under management in the real estate division. We own multifamily units as well as several other businesses. I go in and do the support and the infrastructure and sort of the behind the scenes work on that endeavor. How I arrived here is an interesting story. So I understand about real estate from that aspect of things. However, I just became a licensed realtor within the last probably 50 days. This is how my journey started here. So I hear Grant Cardone and Glenn Sanford, we're on our way to the airport, and Grant and Glenn are having a phone call and they're super excited. And, I see Grant, of course, daily, and I don't usually see him get really excited about a lot of things very often. As you can imagine, he's presented with a lot of business opportunities from like hundreds of people from around the world. But I heard on this phone call this enthusiasm and this excitement, and Glenn Sanford was the same way. And they kind of seemed like two schoolboys. And they were like, Grant was really excited. He was like, this is the perfect vehicle. And I see this, and I've wanted to help realtors anyway, none of this made sense to me at the time, except for they were going to partner up and do something incredible with EXP. And then Glenn says to Grant, I just don't know how this is going to work because you're not a realtor, you don't have a license, and it would probably be a conflict because we also have Cardone Capital and he raises money for some of the events for the structures that we do. So in the book, Build an Empire, How to Have It All, I write a chapter, which is become an asset. Make yourself become an asset, not only to yourself, but to your family, your community. So I'm always working on bettering myself. So I raise my hand. Like, I'm going to become an asset. I'll get the realtor license. So I say to Grant, can I become the realtor? Because he's on the phone call, right? And so Grant says to Glenn, hey, can my wife become a realtor? Can she get the license? Will this work this way? And Glenn was like, this is perfect. We have so many women, and couples that are in this business. It's perfect. So I cut to literally the next day. I start my realtor course, which is so much harder than I knew I had signed up for at the time. But I'm here to tell you that 28 days later, I passed the state exam and got licensed to be a realtor with EXP. And during that time of intense study, I learned about the model, and I had no idea that the model was as magnificent as it was. Briefly, I'll wrap it up. When COVID happened, empire builder. So that's what I do. I'm support, I'm strong enough to bear the weight of support, show active interest in the success of. So everything I do has to win. It has to be 10x. It has to be extraordinary. So during COVID, so many people were worried and scared. And I kept thinking, how do I become the empire builder? Not just for me and my organization with my husband, but how can I go be the woman behind, because I'm a woman behind the man. How can I go be the woman behind all these other people and do what I do best, my super strength, which is help people that want to build their empires. And I had looked at other ways of doing that, but nothing added up. It didn't align. It wasn't a collaborative, cohesive vehicle. So when I learned while I'm taking the course 50 days ago, that what this model was all about and the opportunity of who I get to be in this organization and what I get to help and bring to the table, I literally have not slept since this opportunity came upon us. And we are all in, and I am not on the board, so I don't think I can get in any trouble. I'm not on any EXP board. I am just an agent, just like everyone else, but we're all in. And within the last week, we bought $1 million worth of EXP stock. So boom, that's who I am. All in EXP.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's incredible.
That is incredible.
And humble brag. Can I or no?
Go ahead. Why not? We're doing introductions. Why not?
Okay. Well, I already have 42 people on my front line.
Dang. Baller.
Thank you for humoring me and thank you for allowing me to be very enthusiastic. I'm very happy and very honored that you had me speak today. As you can tell, I'm very excited. Thank you.
You're excited. And then without further ado, next, my brother from another mother. I mean, literally, this guy is like, he and I just think so much alike, and he's just an amazing guy, has a great story. I have to let you, that's why I have to call you Terence today. Terence, introduce yourself. Tell us about your journey. How did you get to from the NFL to the EXP? So kind of share your story with us.
Yeah, I'll be brief. Thank you, Fee, and thank you, Colin, for having me.
You got 3 to 5 minutes. We got time. Go ahead.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Colin. Thank you, Fee. Ed and Elena, I'm excited to be on the stage with you guys. But yeah, I mean, Terence Murphy, College Station, Texas. People most of the time have no clue where it's at. It's where Texas A&M University is in Central Texas. Was an athlete in college at Texas A&M. Was won the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft. Played with the Green Bay Packers. Retired. My wife and I, Erica, she's in the back of the room. We started our real estate development company, our construction companies, and so now we have 20 companies that we lead and run. But the one that everyone knows was our real estate brokerage. It was an independent that we started from scratch, and I think we'll hit $1 billion in sales in the next 30 to 45 days as a startup. So we have been carrying the weight of growing a real estate brokerage from scratch, and we talk to everybody under the sun. I mean, Compass, Realogy, Sotheby's, Century 21, the whole nine. And for us, when we were thinking about expansion, and also there's the value proposition for our agents, because we're always teaching them create multiple income streams. And we just didn't see another model out there where our agents could have active, residual, and passive income. And so that was one of the things that drew us to EXP, being able to retain our brand. The TM5 brand is a really strong brand in Texas. And when we were a part of Leading RE, we won the Momentum Award the last 3 out of 4 years. So we've got some strength behind our brand. And for us, EXP just gave us that opportunity to expand faster, more efficiently, and not have to carry the load of all of the platforms and the technology. So obviously being an athlete, and playing for the Packers, know a lot of high net worth individuals. And we've really carved out a niche here in College Station. And I myself, I just closed my 49th $1 million transaction in my career of 10 years of being a realtor. So I'm not in Beverly Hills. I'm not in New York. So to almost do $51 million transactions as an individual agent is it's different. So I'm excited to be on the stage. I'm excited to dive in, and I just appreciate you guys, and be on the lookout for us. We're going to be looking for expansion partners all over the United States. So I'm excited. Thanks.
Thank you, Terence. Fee, do you want to roll into the next question? I mean, that was great share. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the panel for the bios. And what we are just going to roll right into Q&A. Fee, do you want to take the first question?
Yeah, the first question is, and this is inspired. We'll start off with, we'll go ladies, we'll go Ed, we'll go with you first. How do you 10x your life? How do you, in terms of getting prepared for the career, what you do on a day-to-day basis, how is it that you prepare mentally and physically, whether it's meditation, yoga, and work at a 10x level?
You know, I've always been a person believing that I just don't know anything. And so I just had this massive thirst for knowledge, and I'm always looking to learn from others. I wake up every day thinking, how can I improve what I do every day? How can I service my clients better? How can I do more business? And then looking at all the equities of life, whether it's health and family and everything else, how can I really improve each and every one? And what I've learned is it's impossible to have them all perfectly balanced. It just, I've not been able to figure that out, but I still really live with that belief that I can be better in all of them. And so that's my mindset when I wake up in the day. So I got to wake up, you know, to get ready. I have to get up early so I can get my workout in. I have to do that first. I have to have a healthy meal first. And then I have to go into either, you know, when my mind's the clearest is when my creativity comes out. So my first step in the morning is, what creative juices do I have that's flowing through my mind? Because I have 1,000 ideas that are coming out of it. And so I just write them down. And then I come to my staff in the morning and I spit them all out at them. And they shake their head and say, what are you doing today? And so, you know, I'm implementing these new ideas, trying to control which ones move forward and which ones we throw away. And then just constantly, you know, drive the business each and every day. I'm up early, I work all day, and just have fun at it. So I think it's a mindset, it's an attitude, and it's a commitment, and it's consistency of all of those together that has allowed me to go where I go with my business.
And Ed, I'm just going to plug that because, you know, I worked with Ed for many years, and this guy, he's amazing. I don't know how he does it. He is a Superman in that regard. Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Colin.
Cool. Elena, I don't know what's in your coffee cup over there. I don't know what you're drinking, but tell us what you do about a little bit of that 10X in your life.
Well, it's tea. I drink tea all day long. So, you know, similar to you, Ed, I wake up every morning early, and I go train. I do boxing, MMA stuff, and I'm very humbled. I've had 2 black eyes, so I try to be good, but I'm just not, but continuing to get better. So like Ed, I'm always trying to challenge myself. I'm constantly reworking the way I think. I have massive purposes. They're so ginormous that they're unattainable, but yet I'm slightly crazy enough to believe maybe there's a chance. So I'm constantly working, trying to figure out how I can get more exposure, how I can network, what can I do to reach more people, how can I build the brand, constantly thinking and executing and taking a lot of massive actions. Even when, you know, I'm met with a no, those kind of punches hurt, but I've learned to not rely so much on feelings, even though we are in a feeling society and everyone cares so much about their feelings. The successful action for me is I know what I'm feeling. I know when I'm nervous. I know when I'm hurt. I know when I'm sad, but I just continue to do it anyway, in spite of the lack of motivations or the feelings, because the purpose is so strong. Like, I want to reach 7 billion people on this planet. I want them winning with our products and services. I want to make a difference. And I'm crazy enough to think maybe there's a chance, but I'm also running out of time. So I don't really have a whole lot of loaf time. So I'm very fast paced. It's very it's frustrating in life because sometimes the ideas and the concepts are like, I want them executed now, but then you come into life and those infrastructures take time to set up. So that's frustrating, but that's how I 10X, you know. I'm like Ed, I do not believe in life balance. Like, I've never discovered that. It's not true for me. I just figure out what needs the most priority at that given moment, and that's what I do. Sometimes I have to be a wife and the work has to stop. And sometimes I have to be a really attentive mother and the work has to stop. And sometimes it's the work that's more important. And the kids, I have to just make realize, look, we're on Team Cardone. So if I can't be here just to entertain you while you're bored, like you going off and playing with your friends or with a nanny or something, you're actually contributing to Team Cardone, because ultimately we want to help people. So everyone kind of understands how the machine works, and we all just kind of figure out how we can best execute and live up to our fullest potential, which by no means have attained yet, but you know, we're in the pursuit. We're fighting for it.
Yes, ma'am. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. And so
Powerful.
Terrence, you get to finish it up, bring it up from the rear, how you 10X your life.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, similar to what Ed and Elena said, question I ask myself every day is, if I'm not on my A game, who will be affected by it? So every day that I get up, I think about how can I make an impact, not only in my wife and my kids' lives, but the people who have surrounded me in the workplace. And, you know, it's kind of like football. There was a time where when I was in high school, we didn't win a lot of games, but every game we showed up, I was a quarterback. I'm like, if I don't have a great game today, I'm not giving my team a chance to win. And so every day that I get up, I think about the people's lives that will be affected if I'm focused on being the best version of myself. Because I always want to remind everybody out in the stands, like, you're not in competition with anyone other than the best version of you. And so as I'm waking up, because when you're in the comparison, there's always going to be somebody that's faster, stronger, smarter, richer, better at this, better at that. You really just got to run your race and be the best version of yourself. And while I'm trying to be the best version of myself, the way I'm able to 10X is I wake up every day thinking about how can I lead my team and how can I be a better version than I was yesterday. And that continually keeps me going.
Wow. Thank you, Terrence. Man, you are so inspiring, so humble, and just kicking so much butt out there. You're my role model. Thank you. And I just want to say for everybody, gosh, you guys got so much passion and so much energy that goes into this business. And just to know from an action standpoint, if you were looking at this industry of sports entertainment influencer type clients, what action plan would you look at every day if you really wanted to 10X that goal, you know, that dream reality that, as Elena was talking about, you know, to really go for it, because time's running out, right? It's not always easy to build categories for this, but if you were to, you know, this was your daily mantra, what actions would you take? And maybe we'll just go back from Ed to Ed over here. Thank you, Ed.
You know, it's a great question, Colin, and I think it doesn't matter if you're going after sports or entertainment, or, you know, guys that carry, you know, 6-shooters. It's about identifying that group of individuals that you want to work with, making a really committed plan on how to reach them. You have to contact them and you have to provide them services that are important to them and identify with what their needs are. If you can identify their needs, that's the first step. The second step is really getting in their circle. And if you're talking about the athlete circle, that's one of the most closed off, tightest circles of people that you could break into, because they are being really approached daily by thousands and thousands of people. And there's people around them that have protection devices out to keep you out. They have a very small group of people that they truly trust, and there's a lot of people they don't trust. So you've got to go in there and build and earn that trust through creating your first transaction and gaining that trust in there, and then building from there. It's not going to be done on the internet. It's not going to be done on a text. It's not going to be done wishing or hoping it's going to happen. You have to be out there every single day in that circle and providing some valuable service and in communication. You know, it's been tough this last 18 months with COVID. You can't be going to the events. You can't be going to the training center. You can't be shaking hands. That made it really difficult to build a business in the athlete world right now, but it'll be back. But you have to be at the charity events. You have to be with the spouses and the spousal groups that are organized, that happen, that they're giving back in different parts of the community. You have to continue to provide service to not only the athletes, but the people that are in their circle and their lives. You have to build relationships with money managers, business managers, sports agents, because each one of those people, there's probably 6 people in every player's lives that refer out real estate agents. And so you're probably only going to be one of those 6: the business manager, their money manager, their agent, their coach, the player on the bench, the spouse, endless who's trying to refer people to them. So you really have to stand out, and you have to provide amazing service. You have to understand confidentiality, and then continue it each and every day and never stop. And it's hard work. So, but this niche doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be just the athlete niche. It could be a medical niche. It could be really just about anything. Discover their needs and provide exemplary service, and do it really each and every day. That's a short answer.
Thank you for the short answer. It was the best answer, an amazing answer. As usual, Ed Kaminsky, thank you. And Elena Cardone, same question. You know, if we were to look at, you know, just that aspect of putting in the action every day. We hear it from you all the time, and it's so refreshing. So whatever you can elaborate, we would really appreciate it.
So I think Ed said it perfectly when it comes to targeting athletes and celebrities. It's figuring out how to get to the gatekeeper. You do have to make yourself known. You do have to be seen. You do have to gain the trust of the gatekeeper in order to get in. And it's a fine line sometimes, because if you bypass the gatekeeper, then you bypass the gatekeeper, and then the gatekeeper can cut you out. So it's an interesting kind of song and dance. You know, in terms of dealing with celebrities, and Ed, I mean, summed it all up with the confidentiality. And the thing that I notice about them is they're very impulsive. They make decisions quickly. You have to be able to read the indicators for the decision phenomena that happens when there's the moment in their head where they've clicked and they've made a decision to buy. I think a lot of people miss that point. And so then they'll show them an additional 16 other things rather than seeing that moment when they have this cognition and they're ready to buy. And usually I notice the difference between the celebrities is that that they like the one thing, not the 16 things that you're trying to show them. So I try to listen very closely to what it is that they're looking for and show them that thing and not confuse them. And let's see, what else is the other thing that I can advise on celebrities? You know, they like trophies. Like I know Grant and I as well, and the celebrities that I've met, they like trophies, you know, whether it's a Super Bowl ring or a basketball or Stanley Cup or whatever it is. We like trophies. You know, if you're an actress, we like Oscars, we like Emmys, we like trophies. So they have a tendency, you know, and again, I'm new to the business, so I don't want to act like the expert here, but just in my dealings with the amount of people and the class of people that we've dealt with, they like wow factors. They like that one thing that's like the trophy, and they don't like to have a lot of time wasted. So figuring out how to close in on that and not talking past the close, I think, is the most successful thing for celebrities. In terms of a 10X action plan in general, like a generalization, what I always do is I do this 1 to 2 year plan of who I want to be in 2 years, and what does my world look like? Who am I running with? What level of success? I map it all out, and then I backtrack into present time, and then I figure out all the actions that I need to do in order to become the person I want to be in the future. And I know I'm not that person now, or I would have, the future would look like that. I would have all the things. So who do I need to be right now in present time? And then what actions do I need to do? I needed to become a realtor. Now I have to learn all these systems. I have to get a mentor in this space. I have to surround myself with the best, with the I have a whole long list of things I need to do in order to become, in 2 years, the person that's on the other side saying, I went from the girl who knew nothing about this, who got her realtor license in 28 days, to now I'm running a global empire with a team around the world. And what do I need to do in order to be able to have that story in 2 years? And that's what I'm executing on now.
Oh my gosh. This is everyone listening and taking notes? I really hope that you can appreciate this. I mean, this is action packed. Elena, thank you so much. And just, from listening, that's such an invaluable tool in this industry, just listening to your client and then knowing those inside secrets that you're just sharing right now so freely. And we really appreciate that. So gosh, I'm going to go back to this replay.
I'm going to just add one more thing.
Sure.
The word that came to mind when Elena was talking is what your client should do is way more important than what you want them to do. And what I mean by that is you can have a player come to town and tell you they want to buy a house, and you can get excited about it, but they should rent because they're on a 1.5-year contract, and they're going to have to get out of Dodge. And if they buy, they could lose money. The opposite can also occur where they come and tell you they want to rent, but they really should buy because they're in a highly appreciating market, and they're going to make money on the house over the next 2 to 4 years if they're here for the entire contract, which would be cheaper than renting. So it's understanding the should, not what you want, not what you'd like to do. And you get the player of the year and he can afford to go spend a lot of money, but it's the last thing he should do. You have to be cognizant of that and guide your clients in that direction. And they don't have to be a player. It's probably any client that you represent, but I think that's a really important distinction when you get your new clients.
Thank you, Ed. And Terence, not to steal your thunder, because we definitely want to hear everybody's opinion on this. When it comes to your action plan, you are so diligent and so focused. What do you do?
Yeah, I think I want to add to what Ed and Elena said. I'll give a different perspective that I think adds value to what they've said. For one, I just want to remind everybody, they're just people. I think that's the biggest thing we got to remind ourselves, whether they're athletes, celebrities, high net worth individuals, they're just people. So, and I just always want to keep that in the perspective. You want to respect everybody, whether they have $1 or $1 billion. I treat everybody the same. And so, so I think the biggest thing too is, let's talk about once you get past and build that up, you get that opportunity, right? Because I think Ed and Elena already added value on how to get the opportunity. So I think it's even more important that when you do get an opportunity to perform, you have to perform. Like, there is no excuses. There is no showing up late. When you decide that you're going to get in, and whether it's a financial advisor, an agent, a family member, someone who gets you through, this gatekeeper to get you through, you have to perform. Because once you perform well with one athlete, one high net worth individual, we all run in the same circles. And when you perform well, then that's when the referrals start, right? And the other thing too is, when you are with a celebrity, an athlete, or high net worth individual, confidentiality is key. They're very, very private people. They don't like their business being in the streets. There's always someone wanting to know what they're doing next. Like, I have to deal with that in a small college town. And so the goal is that when you get in, make sure you perform, make sure you come through, make sure you add value, and the referrals will come. And then the last piece, always be thinking about this when you're dealing with these kind of group or a selection of people. Anytime you can save them time and make the process more efficient, that's where you bring value to people that are athletes, celebrities, or high net worth people, because they're obviously already successful at something. That's why they have built the following or the income and the value that they have. So if you can cut down on time and efficiency and get them the similar returns that they're looking for, that's where you bring value. So
thank you, Terence. Man, this is just that one. I'm just blown away by that one question. We're going into a couple more, guys. So hold on to your seats. Here we go. So what does giving back to the community mean to you? And how can that be accomplished? And maybe it's something that you guys are actually doing right now. So Terence, we're going to start with you because we just want to, understand more about what's coming up in June and just what your heart and soul is really about here, about giving back to the community.
No, that's perfect. So can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So real quick, I think the biggest thing is we got to remember, guys, as we are more successful, success isn't just for us. It's for not only our family members, but the biggest stretch of thought that's been a game changer for me. Yes, I want to make an impact in my kids' lives and their kids' lives, but man, I can influence other people to also have an impact in their own lives. And that's the legacy that we want to leave as we become successful in anything that we do. So the ultimate goal, like my wife and I bought this commercial strip centers like Starbucks, Buffalo Wild Wings, and some other stuff. It was a big investment. And she's really on me about celebrating, and I'm really wanting to be private. So there's that balance. But we posted it, and it had 1 million shares in 1 week. And what we realized is there's so many people inspired by what we're doing. And so that obviously created a whole nother problem of Instagram messages and people asking, can you coach me? Can you tell me this? So the point I'm making is I created a podcast called the Real Estate Entrepreneur Podcast. The only reason I created that podcast is to be able to leave breadcrumbs and nuggets for people to be able to follow the journey of investing, of building a startup real estate brokerage to almost $1 billion in sales and whatever we've done. So I started that podcast, but that's one of my ways to give back is the podcast. And then the other one is it's a camp I'm doing back in my hometown. I come from an underprivileged community. Not a lot of resources is in the area that I'm from. And so I started a camp. It's called the Terence Murphy Camp. And we're doing football, finance, and faith. Obviously, you see most NFL guys, they go back and they talk about football. I want to talk about more than football. So I'm talking about finance, financial literacy, how to track your net worth. What does it mean to have a budget? Buying your first home, why you should invest because savers are losers. Inflation is eating up our cash. All those things I'm talking about. And then the faith piece, which to me is one of the most important pieces. So that's what I'm doing. That's kind of my vision. The Terence and Erica Murphy Foundation, my wife and I, we're putting that camp on. And I think we're about 3-4 weeks out. It's on June 11th and 12th. And we already have over 325 people signed up. So that's one of our first things that we want to do and give back into the community. And then obviously the podcast.
Yes. I just posted the link for the football camp. I'll do the podcast link later. Thank you, everybody. And Terence, awesome share. Elena, we know you're part of so many great causes. Can you elaborate on some that you have firsthand experience with your foundation, the grant, and everything else? So we're just soaking it in right now. Thanks.
Terence, well done. That is so incredible. I'm just very happy for that. Grant and I started the Grant Cardone Foundation. As you know, it's a goal of ours to bring financial literacy to 7 billion people on the planet. And so the Grant Cardone Foundation is really to provide mentoring and financial literacy education to the adolescents in the underserved and at-risk populations, especially for or with kids without fathers. Grant lost his father when he was 10 years old and went into a tailspin of chaos for a number of years. And so he vowed that, he was always looking for one of his uncles to step in and be the father figure, the mentor to him, and none of his uncles ever did. So he vowed that if we now, ever got into a place where we were having financial freedom ourselves, then the debt back to society would be to be the uncle to all the other kids out there or people out there who need somebody to step in and be a father figure. So even though Grant can't really do that for every single person on the planet, he can with his products and services. So we started the Grant Cardone Foundation. The goal is to raise $10 million to impact 1 million lives. We're starting the global initiative this year. And we're bringing basically like the Cardone University, but 10X for kids, and training them on everything that they need to know, finance and financial literacy and purposes and core values and the structure of what that would take to be able to take their destiny and create their own futures. And so we've had massive success with that. If anyone you feel so inclined to contribute, you can go to the GrantCardoneFoundation.com, and we match every single dollar that is raised from the outside. And that's our latest passion project. But certainly we're very philanthropic, and we've contributed to many charities. It's just you know, when you hit a certain point in life where you can financially have everything that you want, and that's a beautiful thing, and I will never diss money, but there is a point where at a certain level the responsibility becomes so enormous to then be able to leave an actual legacy, because you can. And the legacy is going to be, like Terence and Ed have said already, it's about changing lives and changing the trajectory of somebody else's life and help fast tracking a child's way to success who wouldn't have access to that information otherwise. So that's what we're doing. I'm, again, passionate about all of our endeavors. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Elena. Thank you for that heartfelt share. And just, guys, when it comes to this industry and what's possible, we really don't know what's possible until we actually try and we put ourselves to work. And we really do appreciate all of this, such great feedback. So thank you so much, Elena. And Ed, we'll just wrap up with you on this question. And we know that you're heavily involved with foundation work when it comes to your clients. Can you please elaborate?
Absolutely. I always felt it was right to give to charities, and I've got involved with so many clients and players, and I gave what I could. But, I think the two words that came up was community and impact. And how can you bring the community together to create an impact? There's only so much I can do, but by bringing the community together to create an impact is way more powerful. And that's when I got involved with a foundation we call the Friendship Foundation, and it kind of connected with me. It's for special needs kids, mostly on the spectrum, and it was for these kids that go and try to integrate into the regular school system, and you can just imagine what that would be like for a child like that to have to walk through those school hallways, and the kind of verbal and physical abuse they would have to deal with. We all had childhood experiences or know people that have, and what that feels like in elementary school and high school. And so what the design of the original part of the Friendship Foundation was to find a key student to friend this special needs kid in school. And oftentimes it might be the quarterback, and the quarterback's out with Jimmy now, walking through the hallways, being his buddy. And now when Jimmy goes to the grocery store, he's getting high fives from the other kids saying, "Oh my God, that's the quarterback's friend." And so it's really impacted the experience these kids are having, not only at school, but outside the school. And through this foundation, we have created an opportunity through facilitating the use of an unused public facility, and to tear it down and rebuild an entire foundation for these kids to experience life things like cooking and growing and things like that. And so we're raising $30 million right now to build this facility for the kids that are in the Friendship Foundation. And so I sit on that board, and we're just devising things that can improve their lives forever, both from up till 18, and now we're moving into 18 post, because it's really hard. There's not a lot of programs after you turn 18 to help these families, to help them integrate into the workforce and finding ways to find jobs that are appropriate for them and finding the type of businesses out there that are willing to hire and train these type of students and children. So we're looking forward to what we're building, and that's what we've been a part of in trying to create impact in the community.
Woo.
Thank
That
you
was
so
so
much.
I'll say thank you. Like y'all, that
Yes.
was fire. We're at the end of our time. That you guys have been amazing.
Yes, thank you.
We're just gonna wrap it up. It's like the audience out there is like they are killing. I mean, you see the audience is reacting very, very much. So I wish they could open up their mic. We're not gonna have them open up their mics because we get too many sound effects. But just wrapping up, y'all. You all have heard amazing stories. You've heard amazing, action items, how to 10x how to 10x everything. But what we need you to do next year, like, okay, if this is heartfelt, if this is something that you guys want to be a part of moving forward, the most important thing that you can do really is join the scene. And so the link is going to be in here, and and that's on the workplace work group. We're going to continue this outside of this platform, but we want to show you this is what's possible and what it is like to work in this industry. And it, like I said, it doesn't have to be, you could be from, Iowa. You can be working with gymnasts or actors or whatever in Disney World. So there's opportunity for all of this. So the next Sports Entertainment Influence Network meeting is going to be May 26th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There's going to be a flyer dropped in the chat. And that's all we have for now. Anybody, I think that's it. I want to thank my esteemed colleague and co-host, Colin. I want to thank Elena and Terence and Ed. You guys have been amazing. And love y'all to life.
Yeah, and thank you. And I just want to say I did drop, if you look, there is a PDF in there with the flyer, and I'm also going to supply a link. Just give me a second. I just want to say congratulate as well our panelists, and Fee, thank you so much for leading this. And Elena, thank you for taking time of your busy schedule to come at the last minute. And Terence, you guys are amazing, just supporting all the way with all these initiatives. Fee, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. All right, let's dance it out. Is that Ed dancing?
Got a little dance going.
Cool. Thanks, T. All righty.
Awesome.
Cool.
I'm going to drop the link in right about now. And it's, if you go to the workplace, you'll see in workplace, there is a, you'll just click on the scene, SEIN, and it will pop right up, and just join, and we'll let you in. It's a closed group, and we are going to be making that announcement.